cleaners leave stains, dirt, germs, and life behind. I don't. I kill everything. I clean and disinfect the toughest stains and kill 99.9% of germs and living tissue. I can cleanse a crime scene or strip a baby to the bone in less than an hour. Mist-a-Spot. Destroy mud, dead, cat vomit. Is shooting DNA on every surface of the house. Mist-a-Spot cleans it away. If you want, it'll even clean him away. Mist-a-Spot. A squirt is all you need. Then boom, nothing lives on.
Criminals fear him. Police respect him.
V-turf, cabrón. Puta, pussy. Now get out of here. Man, fuck this. Oye, retirémonos, move back. Vámonos a la mierda.
Assume they didn't tell Judge Boasberg, hey, we're asking you to violate the law, would you sign this? Do you assume that as well?
We have to ask the DOJ that, but you make a good point, Senator.
Yes, he does. Yeah, see, I mean, what's crazy? That's the guy who did the spying. Oh, yeah, you make a good point. We didn't think about that. It's crazier that if Trump hadn't won, we actually would not have known about any of this. Would the senators, donors, organizations, and individuals who were surveilled and subpoenaed ever learned about the Arctic Frost investigation had Trump not...
Morse Mutual, we're here to help.
Probably not.
Okay.
Because of these non-disclosure orders, but also the fact that a lot of these records were known as random because they were in these permitted access files only available to their FBI director. So if the FBI director is a Democrat, there's no reason to think we know that.
You see why they were trying so hard to put Trump in jail? All the charges they were throwing at him. Well, he was right. But if he had been convicted of everything they wanted, they would have amounted to like over 700 years in prison for like a 78-year-old dude at the time. Because they knew if Trump won, this was going to come out. The incentive was not justice, it was to crush him for their own survival. I would just disband the entire FBI if it was me. But this level of corruption, I don't think is fixable. Here, another perfect example. Let me ask you this. Would you be troubled
That
if tomorrow the Trump Department of Justice issued a subpoena for the phone records of every Democrat that sits on the Judiciary Committee?
Not if it was based on factual evidence, specific and articulable facts.
Well, let me be clear. I'd be damn troubled. And that would be an abuse of power. And I'm going to predict not a single Democrat's going to say even a word about the abuse of power on their side, and that double standard is troubling. But we just proved to you that there was no proof. So much so that the justification for keeping it a secret warrant, as you know, why this matters to you and I, folks. Look, this should matter to you, me, Democrats, whatever, because if the Justice Department can secretly wiretap U.S. senators explicitly against the law, as Ted Cruz just noted, and the Speaker of the House even raid the former president's home with legal authorization, collude with local prosecutors like Fulton County, Arizona, and Arizona, they investigate regular Joes to such an extent that they bankrupt them simply because they asked a question about inconsistencies in an election. Imagine what they can do to you and I. They would destroy us. They would make the process of punishment. Just because simply we said something that the person in power didn't like.
Ask a fucking question.
They're trampling while using the process as the punishment. All the while, the same people tasked with upholding the law just simply justify whatever they want to do by calling Trump supporters a threat to democracy. The fact that they still think that they were justified in this hearing, they thought they were justified because apparently you and I are an enemy to the Republic and a threat to democracy. One of the subpoenaed former FBI agents that was part of this partisan witch hunt to this day still believes that there was no weaponization and politics played no role in the Jackson investigation.
Mr. Are you okay with it being weaponized in one of these triggers? Does that suit you? Did you think that was a justifiable use of your money?
Senator, absolutely not. And let me just tell you, politics in the FBI workspace are absent. Nobody understands or
So I'm going to no, it's my time.
The fact that he thinks that is the problem right there. It's the media. You're never going to fix the system if people like that are running investigations. Like, dude, you are public enemy number one by the majority of the country for what you did. And then the guy you tried to destroy, he ended up winning, thankfully, he's president now. And you sit there with your smug self saying, no, we did everything above board. We did everything right. After years of hindsight, a national election that didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, and after all the election analysis, is pencilhead over here thinks that, no, we did everything right. And Senator, let me finish. Shut up. There is no reforming that. You just have to fire them in mass.
he loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Hickey every weekday on Newsrounds.
time it is day 40 of the partial government shutdown, the deal to fund Homeland Security has yet to materialize.
So the Open Center Republicans proposed the plan for Trump, got his endorsement, and went almost all of DHS aside from ICE removal operations. Now Democrats saying, no deal, because it does not include reforms they have been pushing for.
Look, you know what we've called for all along. We're not going to get into specifics, but we need strong reforms, and we need to rein in ICE. We've been consistent in what we've been asking for from the get-go.
About this back and forth with the Hill through Metro morning through. So Republicans say Democrats keep moving the ball this time. So now they're a little ticked off. Because they would like to get their way and get this done. The Democrats are pushing back.
Yeah, let's set the table here first. DHS is a big difference, right? It includes the different operations, including what we see at the airport, SA agent, also ICE, and this removal process where the Trump administration is trying to remove workers of illegal immigrants from the country. So after what happened in Minneapolis, where two people were killed by federal agents, Democrats said, we're going to put DHS, including rein in ICE. Republicans said that's a non-starter. ICE is a critical part of this. We're not going to go along with it. That's why we're going to shut down. Now Republicans went to the White House and said, look, we think we might be able to get a deal forward here. Maybe we fund everything else in DHS, DSA agents, get those lines gone, remove specific parts of ICE that Democrats have a problem with, and then move that in a reconciliation package on party lines later. Democrats are saying, after weeks of saying, we will fund the rest of the government, but not ICE, now Democrats are saying, wait, this is exactly the deal we agreed on here. So this does fund it out half of ICE, not the controversial parts of it, but Democrats are saying, look, we want to fund any parts of ICE. We want these reforms included. So that's why we're kind of back right now. Let's hear some lawmaker reaction. Guys, you can play the bite of Senator John Kennedy. This is what Chuck Schumer had to say about the advanced rights. And follow that up with the debate Senator Tim Kaine.
I don't blame Sean, but I would, if I were he, even if he's more experienced than I am, I would proceed very cautiously, because if he wants to change this juncture and refuse to go along, we'll just withdraw all concessions and do the whole DHS budget.
The lines that are stressing the fact that we have posties who were deployed on Navy ships with the sailors deployed in Panama. We have states that are planning on emergency rather than food money is closed. Just open the agencies, for God's sake. You can have the reform discussion, and it doesn't have to be decided on the next half an hour. Well, why are people bringing lines all over the country? Just fund the agencies at the levels you agree to do it, and that's what is simple.
So, Drew, that's how senators are about what's going on in the House, because overly they're I think once this plan hit the Hill, it was being criticized from both sides, not just by Democrats who say you're going to be funding part of ICE here and we want these reforms instituted, but you also have conservatives that say that this bill doesn't include what we want. Conservatives have said we want full funding for ICE and this voting regulation bill that the president had been pushing, this plan that has been floated now to pass those more controversial items through a reconciliation process on a party line vote. There's a lot of conservatives that think that's a cop-out and are skeptical that Republicans will be able to move another reconciliation bill this year before an election, because it kind of opens up the floodgates in an election year, all of these different competing ideas inside the party of what to include in that package. It did one last year. It was difficult to get it across the finish line. There's some thinking inside the Republican Party, especially on the rightward flank, saying this is not going to actually happen, and we're capitulating the Democrats by giving in and kind of relinquishing our leverage. But if they can, they'll need Democrats to pass any stuff if they can agree to it. Which is what is so enticing about kind of what you saw Senator Kennedy there say, hey, we could just go alone and do this on our own. And there would surely be a lot of motivation to actually move a reconciliation package because they could get so much in it in an important year, but it's a heavy lift, and there's some who think they're not actually going to be able to get that done.
And the clock is ticking because they go into recess again this week. So get ready for those lines. Yeah.
Drew, thanks so much.
Weasel News. These fucking weasels.
To be joined by Senator Murray and Senator Padilla. So, as everyone knows, negotiations continue on DHS funding.
including the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, while also securing real reforms to rein in ICE and Spade, then Donald Trump, threw a temper tantrum.